being Beth with myeloma isn't so bad all the time, because I want to help other people and be a part of their, their journey, and just be there to listen to them. In my little town that we were living in, Rock Springs, Wyoming, and there, I saw several doctors, and they would just say, "Oh, everybody has pain. Just do these exercises." Um, everybody has back pain. It was one of those things where I wanted to fight for myself and say, "Hey, you need to listen to me. I am having these issues and no one's listening to me. You're just kind of blowing it off. I know something is going on. We need to keep investigating this until we figure it out." I got a call on Wednesday, the day before Thanksgiving, and it was orthopedic surgeon. And he said, "I'm going to hang up this phone in about 2 minutes, and the phone's going to ring, and it's going to be an oncologist, and she's going to tell you what she needs you to do." We knew that, now we're seeing an oncologist. We knew this was cancer now, but we had no idea what this meant. The oncologist gave prognosis of 2 to 3 years at the time. Neurologist that I saw, he said, "Oh, there's some things that we could do, but you're not going to survive long enough to make it worth it." At that point, we're just feeling like, this is a short-term thing where,
Oh my gosh.
I'm going to die from this. We got to figure out what to do with our life, with our kids. How's Mark going to raise these kids by himself? The way that we kind of just dealt with it with the kids was just that mommy is sick and that she's going to have to do some medication. And they were too young to really understand. We used the word cancer, but they didn't understand what that meant and, the ramifications of that. They would hook me up in Salt Lake with a pump with this fluorescent pink medication in it that had biohazard written all over it, and I'm thinking they're pumping this right into my veins. I didn't know what I was doing. This was all new to us. I was just trying to survive the day, do what they told me to do. And it was a difficult treatment. It was very hard on the body. And it was really the only treatment at that time that was widespread anyway. To have the kids there in some ways while we were in the hospital, I loved having them there for sure. And I felt like we were all, together as part of a family, but I also was dealing with so many emotions, and I didn't want to burden them with my dealings with, I have cancer and it's terminal, and I'm probably not going to live very long with it, but at the same time, it was hard on them. And I wish they didn't have to go through it. The thing that I would tell other people is to accept help, let people help you, and ask for help if you need to. I know it's so hard. I want to do everything on my own and just do it, but sometimes you need help, and it's okay to ask. So there was a lot of people who wanted to support us, and they came and visited, and they when we got home, they brought meals and cleaned our house, and they did so many things for us, which was just, amazing. After about a year, it took about a year to where I wasn't feeling sick all the time. And and building my strength back, lived, like I said, kind of a normal life. I felt great. I was exercising. I was, doing everything that a mom does for her kids. It was, just like, hey, maybe I'm in remission forever. They had told me, give us 10 years and we'll maybe have a cure by then. And that didn't really happen. We were out of town, and I was sitting on some steps, and I sneezed or coughed or something. I think it was sneezed, and it just popped in there. And I just had so much pain. And that's where we went to an emergency room, everything. I couldn't breathe. I couldn't sit. I couldn't lay without being in excruciating pain. And of course, then I start thinking myeloma. And we really hadn't seen it for 12 years. And so they couldn't see anything on the x-rays at the emergency room. Then I went back to the oncologist. It was difficult because every time we go to the doctor, it was like, okay, is it back? Because even though they said, give us 10 years, they also said it'll 99% it will come back. And so each time we'd go, we'd have this, dark cloud over our heads thinking, is this the time when it's going to come back? And so it was hard because I was always feeling pains, what is this pain? What is this pain? And I was in a desperate situation. I had a tumor on my sternum that was 4 inches by 3 inches by 3 inches. And I mean, we're talking inches here. We're not talking centimeters. We're talking inches. It was clear across my chest and visible. And it was just growing like crazy. It was just out of control. And my light chains, which I said earlier, I'm normally around 0 or 1. And then I was up at 70. I'd never been at 70 before. And that was really scary. And I was feeling terrible. Most of the symptoms of myeloma that I've had are just mostly pain and maybe some fatigue as far as the symptoms of the actual cancer. But at this point, I was weak. I was, short of breath. I was having to be pushed around in wheelchairs, those kind of things. Fortunately, with multiple myeloma, they can use low dosages. And so, and it's really, really effective. Every time I've had those 193 treatments have all been effective for me. And it immediately started reducing the pain from the lesions. I had several tumors. I've had tumor behind my eye. I've had tumors, in my ribs and on my sternum, different places in my skull. And it just reduced them quickly. I only have to have like 12 treatments, and then that's all they would do. And so thank goodness the side effects were very minimal. And then when we started the selinexor, it was like a new beginning to my life in a lot of ways, because I'd been really suffering really for over a year and not knowing what was going to happen, and things were, and I'm pretty an upbeat person, I don't think about the hard, like I don't get caught up in the hard stuff too much. But this was just one of those times where I really did. And the first drug is Zofran. And oh man, I'll tell you what, when I was first diagnosed, Zofran was like $20 a pill. It was so expensive. And now it's not expensive at all. And so that's the first line of treatment for nausea. And so you take that if you're not feeling any better from that, and that usually does the trick for most people. Then you take compazine, which is prochlorperazine. That's the other name for it. But that one, boy, I'll tell you what, it does it for me every time. I just love that drug because it does it for me every time. If the Zofran doesn't help, boy, if I take compazine, then I'm feeling so much better. And then the last one is Ativan, or lorazepam. That one is for anxiety mostly, but it does help with nausea, and it helps calm you down. And so that's like the third line. So if you're really still feeling sick and nauseous, the last one is Ativan, which a lot of cancer patients are on anyway and take anyway for anxiety and different things. And it helps kind of counteract some of the dexamethasone side effects as well. So anyway, but yeah, so that's the 1, 2, 3, and it's wonderful. I had to retire from teaching. I think that was one of the hardest things, because I just felt like I can do this. I was working 50 to 60 hours a week as a teacher, and it took me so much longer to do anything because I was tired, I was weak, I was, experiencing, different side effects throughout different therapies. And so that was really difficult to make that decision to say, you know what, I can't work anymore. We're going to have to figure this out financially, because you know what, cancer is so expensive. I have the best caregiver on the planet. My husband, he does everything for me, as far as, sometimes stairs are really difficult for me to navigate. And so because of some dizziness and some just weakness. And so he does all the laundry, he cleans the house, he does the cooking, he just takes care of me. And especially when I was teaching, he just had decided, she has to go through this and treatment and, work these 50 to 60 hours a week. So I'm going to do everything else plus my 40-hour-a-week job, to take care of her. And all she has to concentrate is getting well and, working at that time. And he's still, even though I'm not working, he still does pretty much everything for me. And so I'm really blessed I've just been thinking a lot about how many cancer patients, feel like they have to work because they have to keep their insurance. They have to have money to pay for treatments. It just amazes me to think what people have to do to even get treated. And thank goodness I have good insurance, and we were able to get on disability, long-term disability through my school district. And so I was able to stop working, but that was probably one of the hardest decisions that we had to make because I loved teaching and it made me feel like I was normal, like I was doing something like every person does. I think sharing your story just really, well, for me at least, it helps me to process, through what I've been through. It helps me remember, because I think it's important to remember what we've been through, and then it helps you make decisions in the future, and it just helps you to give yourself some grace. I don't give myself grace very often, as far as, when I feel bad or tired or anything, I think, oh, I gotta feel better. I gotta, get up and do stuff. I gotta, push through this. But then if I tell my story and I think, you know what, you've been through a lot. This is okay to feel this way this day. Um, and I think, we just are hard on ourselves, and we don't let ourselves be sick, and especially myeloma patients, because we don't look sick. We don't often, you know, show that we're sick. I look like I'm not sick, um, and so it's really hard to balance that with I am sick, and I need to be able to take care of myself, and I need to, not push it too much, and I gotta um, give myself some grace. I think that's one of the biggest things. And just to be in good communication with your doctors. And like we talked before, just be an advocate for yourself. And I think, just trying to have a good attitude, and saying, this is going to pass. It's been great. And I just feel great. And I'm just hoping that it just keeps going.